Welcome back to Orange Hat Reviews, everyone. Hope you're all having a wonderful day. So, Mystery Review, episode 30. And I didn't even get my talking points up. So, give me a second there. There we go. So, yeah. Episode 30. And today's date is actually quite appropriate for the movie that I am reviewing, as it is also in the movie that I am reviewing. The movie, if you guys have not guessed, with the hints 20:7, as well as Robin Tunney. The bonus hint was CCH Pounder. Two actresses, and one big clue from the Bible. I am reviewing The End of Days. So, The End of Days is a 1999 movie directed by Peter Hyams, starring Arnold Schwarzenegger, Robin Tunney, Gabriel Byrne, Kevin Pollak, CCH Pounder, and Udo Kier. The movie is an interpretational horror action film about the prophecy of the Bible's book of Revelations, specifically Revelation 27. When the 1,000 years is ended, the Dark Lord Satan shall be loosed from his prison. Scored by John Debney, and believe me, the score in this movie, when there's evil at work, is truly chilling, and it works brilliantly. Where you hear the kind of vocalizations, and then you see how, or whatever is going on is actually quite dark. You notice that there's something truly evil, that Satan or his followers are doing something. Now, this film starts in 1979 in Vatican City, where Thomas Aquinas, he witnesses the sign of the prophecy of the end of days under the sign of the Eye of God, or Oculus Dei. The Vatican then discusses this and charges that the child will be born today and that they must be found. Well, one subsect of the Vatican, a bishop or a cardinal, I believe it's a cardinal, he says, or no, it would be a bishop. He's like, she must be killed to prevent him, or to prevent the devil from succeeding. Well, the head bishop, or the head cardinal at the time, says that if we sacrifice the innocent, we do not deserve redemption. We will never be redeemed. Well, then the other one tries to make his claim. She is chosen to bear his child. If she lives to bring about the end of days, there will be no redemption. Well, in this time, it calls for faith. We must find her and we must protect her. We must have faith in order to do so. And then he charges Thomas, who saw the sign, to find the girl and to keep her from evil. So then 6 hours later, Christine York is born. And the nurse of the family goes down, or takes her to clean her up, but instead of doing so, she takes her down into a sub-basement of the hospital, in which a satanic ritual is performed. They look at her arm, they see an inscription on her arm, a kind of Greek U, so to speak, or a Greek under U. So they then pull a snake out of a jar, stab the snake, and with the knife sprinkle the blood on the baby, and then they poke a finger into the dead snake, drop the snake, and have her drink the blood of the snake. Because honestly, when a baby has something brought to their mouth as a newborn, their first instinct is to take whatever it is in, to suck on it, to suckle. So they are all excited about that. So then they clean her up and bring her in. and she's named Christine. Now, this was in June of 1979. So, I honestly thought it was, or she was born in the December time, but I was wrong. So now, skipping forward 20 years to specifically December 28th, today's date. Hold on one second, folks. My nephew decided to join me. Say hi.
Hi.
Wave to him. Give him a wave. Anyway, my cousin sometimes gets shy. But yeah, so luckily he's not too interpretational of what we're going to be discussing. So yeah. So we're jumping to December 28th, today's date, and we see that Satan has, or pressure is climbing off the gauge in the gas pipes under New York City, specifically in one spot. And then we see that Satan himself, in a very translucent or transparent form, kind of like the Predator in his cloaked form, pops up and immediately flies off. And we then get introduced to Gabriel Byrne's character, who is sitting down having a dinner with a couple. And Satan is searching for him, apparently. I love how they use the point of view or the POV shots of Satan weaving through New York, searching for his intended host. And when when Gabriel Byrne goes to use the bathroom, and something that always bothered me, if Satan can move through doors and whatnot, why does he have to weave through New York? Why not make a straight beeline to him, you know? It does make one wonder. But logic has to have hiccups somewhere, you know? So, another thing that I also like is how when he is there behind Gabriel Byrne and Gabriel Byrne's washing his hands off, the water just turns off. And it's until the last drop that Satan decides to possess him. Now, hold on. Now, one of the things that I also like, are you pooping?
No.
Okay, just checking. One of the things that I also like is that as soon as he is possessed, the first thing he does is act in sin. He goes out to the wife of the man who he was talking to, starts kissing her and groping her, and the husband's like, "What the hell?" And he just turns to him and looks at him with a very piercing look, shall we say. Are you sticking your tongue out at the people? Do not. You behave. You behave. You be nice to these folks, okay? But anyway, so yes, he gives the guy a look, and then he finishes kissing her and tucks up her dress a little bit, and then he walks out of the restaurant, and the restaurant explodes. Yeah, well, shh. He doesn't understand what that means, but yes, you then see that the host is unharmed, and he continues walking. So we then are introduced to we're then jumped to December 29th, which is tomorrow, and which happens to be my birthday and his uncle's birthday. And we're introduced to Jericho, Arnold Schwarzenegger's character. And well, he is obviously frustrated about something. He takes his Glock and he starts pointing it at his head. Well, this tells you that he is suicidal, obviously. But I love how it is interrupted, and you think he actually pulls the trigger, but you hear banging on the door instead, and it's Kevin Pollak, his partner Bobby. And he's coming in to tell him that we got a job today. Security, escort, you know. They're part of a private security business called Stryker. What are you laughing at, huh? What are you laughing at? What are you laughing at? Yeah, I know. So then he, because he got interrupted, and his friend Bobby, he opens the blinds. And he's like, ah. I mean, Arnold Schwarzenegger's just moping in the dark. Then he gets up. He's like, what's today? Escort, security, and whatnot. So we got, why does he need? Yeah, we'll get those cars after. He's like, why does he need so much protection? Well, he obviously screwed with somebody who doesn't like to be screwed with, or some Wall Street scumbag. Personally, I like the scumbags. They pay better. Here, 2 cars. Okay. Do not be crashing them, okay? No crashing them. You can roll them around here or play with them in your hands. So anyway, this is Jericho's breakfast. And are you ready, folks? Because this is crazy. Don't make too much noise. Don't rub the wheels. Okay, bub? Roll in here. Yep. Don't crash him into the computer, though. So here's his breakfast. No joke. A pork chop from the floor. A piece of meat. Some Chinese rice, or from 2 boxes of Chinese rice. Pepto-Bismol. Coffee. Beer. And some other type of meat. He puts it all in a blender and hits puree. Shreds this all to hecking on, creating one of the most disgusting protein shakes you've ever heard of. And you see him drink it. And you see Kevin Pollak just look at him wide-eyed and like, and then he offers him, he's like, no, I'm good, thanks. Yes. Show him the cars. Yeah, show him the car. Yeah. Showing them the car. Yeah. And so then they go to the escort. Then they show the scene where they're escorting their Wall Street scumbag. And yeah, I know. And then we see that they're at the area. Well, who gets out of the car but Gabriel Byrne, the man in the limo, is how he is casted in this movie. The man in the limo, which is hilarious. So it turns out that they're escorting Satan. They had no idea it was him. And so then after he gets out of the car and they're like, did you sweep the stairs that are off the buildings? And they're like, yeah, they were negative. Well, then Jericho looks again, not on the computer. And he's like, and then he sees a shooter. He sees an open window and then a shooter on the stairways. He's like, you're wrong, shooter. And then he pushes the guy back into the limo. Now, there is a small continuity error. When he gets out of the limo, he doesn't have gloves on. But when he's getting back into the limo, he has gloves on. It's quite weird. Whee! Anyway. So, over here. Thank you. So, he then Arnold gets shot by whoever the person is that is hooded, and he kind of looks old. So then we understand that it is Thomas Aquinas because you actually recognize him. Yes. Did you drop one of your cars? Can you go down and get it? There, go get down and get your car. And so you can get back up here. Come on. Come on. Watch your head. Watch your head. Oh. Sorry about that, folks. Didn't mean to shake up the place. Anyway, there are a couple of errors in the scene. Now, what I really do like about the scene is that they actually landed a helicopter in the middle of a city, straight, with a lot of traffic around. Be careful. Behave. If you want to be in here, you got to behave, okay, buddy? And so then we get him trying to jump off the roof after Arnold gets up into the chopper. And I also like, but before that happened, Kevin Pollak comes in. He sees that that Arnold's not responsive. Do you want to get down? Okay, go play. But be quiet, okay? Sissy's sleeping. Or not sleeping. But anyway, sorry about that. Hey, little buddy, what's your nephew's name? His name is Ryan with an or R-Y-O-N. But yeah, now he's going to play because he got bored. And good to see you, JM 2021. So then we get to the scene where he gets up into the helicopter and he's chasing down the priest, and they have him strapped to the helicopter or tied off to the bottom of the helicopter. So he's trying to get to him. Well, the priest tries jumping over or off the building. He manages to get him, but there's a continuity error. When you see Kevin Pollak say he's got him, then they go to a shot where, well, Arnold Schwarzenegger doesn't have him. But then they show that he is in the very next cut. But the scene that I was talking about before I let my nephew go was Kevin Pollak's checking him after he got shot, and he sees that he's not responsive. Oh, please tell me you remembered. And then he checks for the vest, and he sees he has his vest on. Get up, you pussy. And all. I mean, I love how they talk to each other. So then he pulls another gun trying to shoot Arnold, and Arnold slacks out the harness, and they end up crashing to the ground. And then the chase goes down to the subway. And you hear the priest yelling in a very muffled way, "The 1,000 years is ended, the Dark Lord is loosed from his prison." Well, Jericho thinks he's crazy, and he's like, "Get down before I put you down." He's like, "You don't know what you've done. The 1,000 years has ended. You don't know what you've done." Well, then he caps his kneecaps. And then we get to, or we see Jericho check him for weapons, and he has a wallet, but no ID or at all in it. So he's like, okay. And then he also notices that he's a priest because he has the collar. Now, when he catches the priest, one shot. Yeah, okay, I caught that. So then we get to the statement between CCH Pounder and the NYPD, or she's an NYPD detective, and she's like, "Okay, Jericho, I just need to ask you a question before we talk about this. Have you been drinking?" "Oh, yeah, we got liquored up earlier today. We start every day that way." "I'm just reading his statement. You said he spoke to you." "Yeah, so what? The guy doesn't have a tongue." "He has no tongue." Let's just keep that little detail between ourselves for now. Are you saying I imagine this? No, I'm just saying. Well, I saved a life today. What did you do? It's like, oh my God. And he's like, "No, I know what I heard." And he's truly, he heard the guy speak. A lot of people say that a person can't talk if they have no tongue. Well, you can, it's just not going to be very coherent. You see, when you're not allowing your tongue to move, it talks like this. That's how it sounds. So yes, they start chasing the leads and find the priest's home. And upon finding it, they cut to a woman because they found a picture, and his tongue, by the way, in a jar. And then they find a picture of a girl. And we're introduced to Christine York, Robin Tunney's character, where she's laying flowers at the grave of her parents. at a cemetery. And then back at the priest's home, the NYPD arrives because they're like, this is way too heavy for me yet. We got to get out of here. This place is making me itch and whatnot. So then the NYPD, they're like, how the hell did you find this place? Lucky guess. And so then we learn that the priest, Thomas Aquinas, came to New York City in 81 to St. John's Church. And the clergy there said he was having a spiritual crisis and went missing 6 months before the movie started, or 6 months before the timing of the date in the movie. So he's like, why would a priest try to kill a Wall Street investment banker who has now disappeared? So now he's disappeared. And then we get to, or they're walking away and they're like, how are we going to find a girl? Or there's like 5 million women in New York City. How are we going to find one of them? And they try to look for it and whatnot. So then we get to the train where we see the Satanist beggar, who you actually did see earlier in the film, where he was doing his little begging. And then when Satan went near, he looks up and he smiles, and then he looks to the right. Well, this time he actually goes up to Christine and starts telling him that he's looking for you. He's going to fuck you, Christine. He wants to fuck you, and yada, yada. And she then grabs him and he shatters like porcelain. And then she wakes up and she realized it was a vision. Well, it's like, oh crap, you know? Then we get to Jericho checking, and he realizes the 1,000 years has ended. So he goes to the Bible and he checks out the book of Revelations 27. And he also finds the music box that reminds him of the loss of his wife and young daughter. Now we know that he had suffered a loss. We didn't know specifically what. That comes out later. Now, the acting in this is actually some of Arnold Schwarzenegger's best acting, however loose in some ways, but it's still some of the best, because a person who has walked away from God, so to speak, and ends up having to fight the devil is pretty freaking nuts. But when you're dealing with supernatural movies like this, it's hard not to have some people take a campy attitude to it. But for the most part, the acting in this movie is done very freaking well. And that just means that the movie is directed very freaking well. So, Christine returns home, and you see that her stepdaughter or her stepmother is one of the Satanists from the beginning of the movie, as is her doctor, because she calls the doctor, and it's Udo Kier's character. Now, Udo Kier, you may know from several different movies. Specifically, one that I remember he is from is Blade, the original Blade movie, and such. Hold on one second, folks. Hi, guys. I had to get my niece because she was kind of creating a fuss and whatnot. So We then see that the priest and the stepmother are convincing Christine that her visions are not real, but she is very special and she's better than everyone else. Kind of a cynical way of raising somebody. And then Jericho goes to St. John's Church to talk with the priest, and there he learns that he is involved in something far greater, although he is not willing to believe it. And then he follows the priest after the priest goes down, or after the priest goes into a secluded area or secluded room. He follows the priest and he witnesses a woman speaking, or who has stigmata, meaning she is pierced through the hands to mimic the crucifixion, but not by any means. She's tied down because for her own safety, and she is predicting the end of days. And then she is hold on one second, folks. I just had a brain fart. She then sees Arnold Schwarzenegger, and then she screams, and they force him out of the church. So we then get we then see where Satan meets with the doctor, and the doctor is having dinner with his wife and daughter, and the daughter was complaining about a bad grade that she got. It's okay. Yeah. She complained about a bad grade, and he's like, besides this one bad grade, it's not the end of the world. And then, well, Satan shows up. So he comes in, he's introduced to the wife and to the daughter, and then he grins devilishly at both of them. And then we go to a sex scene where where the wife and daughter are basically getting nailed by Satan together. It's a disgusting threesome. It's living in sin. Incest is a sin in the eyes of the Catholic and Christian religion. So then, as this is going on, you see that it's more than just happening. It's a vision, because when the mother and daughter start kissing, they start blending together and fusing together and then it forms into Robin Tunney. And she, what are you doing? What you doing with your feet? What you doing with your feet? Are you trying to watch this? Simple things gets her to calm down. So then, all right, keep your foot down. There we go. So then we get to her waking up and screaming, Christine, Robin Tunney's character, and she tells her stepmother if he felt closer this time, it felt more real. So she's been having these dreams for most of her life. And then we go to the next day where Satan visits Thomas or in the hospital, and he gets past the guard because Thomas Aquinas is under heavy police protection because of him trying to kill somebody and whatnot. So then the guard's like, no visitors. And so Satan's like, you still have the scent of those young boys you seduced on you. Remember who it is you serve. And the guard lets him in. So apparently the police guard is a pedophile. Because one of the things that is known is that Satan can see inside, or the evil inside of every person he comes across. So he then talks to Thomas Aquinas, and he's like, open your eyes, Thomas. Hey, happy day to you too, happy dinosaur. And Thomas is visibly ticked off that the guy is there, and he's like, you've seen this face for 1,000 years, and they say that you could see the future, Thomas. Then you must know exactly what I'm going to do to you. No, you don't get to play with it. No, you can listen to Uncle Danny. So, goodbye. Hey, Norris, how's it going? See, people are saying hi to you. Yeah, say hi. Say hi. Say hi. Wave to him. Wave to him. Yeah. Hi. 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 Good morning. She's a bashful little one. She turned 1 earlier this month. So then we get to or cutting back to the DMV check, looking for Christine, or no, wait, that's not it, or that's not where we are. I'm sorry. Where are we? That's right. After that, we go, or we see Satan outside, and there's the kid that who rides a skateboard right into him, and it gets plowed to the ground because, well, he kind of hit a very stiff person. He's like, "Hey, asshole, watch where you're going." "Hey, I like the shirt," and it says Satan rules. And the guy's like, "Screw," and the kid's like, "Screw you, man." So he then starts skating off, and he's like, "Hey, kid," just whispers in the kid's name, or he just whispers that, and the kid turns around like he heard it, and then the kid gets hit by a bus because it wasn't paying attention. Yeah, I mean, wow, just shows you how dark this movie can get. And so he's like, "Nice shirt," and then he just walks off. That's it, without a care in the world, because that's who he is, Satan. So then we get to the cops finding Aquinas dead, or rather Arnold and his friend, who are not cops, but they are a security firm, but they're still investigating like cops. So then we see that they're investigating everything. They pull him down because he was crucified up on the ceiling, and then they're like, "Nobody came in here. He probably did it himself. Then how did he get the last scalpel in?" So then they remove his shirt, and it's in Latin, the Revelation 27, when the 1,000 years is ended, Satan shall be loosed from his prison. And then he's like, "I think this is in English. It says Christ in New York." Well, then Thomas Aquinas wakes up and takes a slash at somebody. And then the cop who was the pedophile shoots him in the head. Well, yeah, you don't want him saying that somebody went in there, you know? So, yikes, that happened. So they're like, "Maybe it's not Kristen, or it's official. I'm never sleeping again." "You okay?" "Yeah, we're gonna have to look for the girl. We don't know her name." "Well, maybe we do. Maybe it's not Christ in New York. Maybe it's Christine in New York. Christ or Chris in New York. Christine York. Let's run a DMV and see what we figure out." Well, they find her pretty quickly, and they start heading towards her house. Well, she does a exercise routine, and we get Robin Tunney's first nude shot where she whips off her shirt. She's got a decent pair. I'm going to be fully subjective there. She's got a decent pair. And we then see her get into a nice silken robe, and she gets attacked by the Vatican Knights after discovering one of her characters. Hold on 1 second, folks. It seems that somebody is screaming. I'm sorry about that, folks. Babysitting is not an easy job. Lovely Sherry, great to see you. How are you? So, yes, getting back to the thing, Christine is being attacked by the Vatican Knights, although we don't know who or that it is the Vatican that's attacking her at this moment. And Kevin Pollak and Arnold are outside the door or her place, and it's like, how long or when does this actually border on interfering with police business? Hey, we're just a private citizen having a conversation with another private citizen. They haven't learned or I don't think they've managed to outlaw that. And so then, well, they see the crashed vanity out the window, and so they burst in, helping her and whatnot, and they save her as one of the guys is doing last rites and holding a knife to her. And then he tries killing her after he finishes the last rites, but Arnold ends up saving her. There's a dead guy at the bottom of the stairs, so he's like, take care of, or check the guy at the bottom of the stairs. What guy? It's okay. It's okay. Calm down. My niece is still teething. Shh, it's okay. What's wrong? You want to get down? You want to get down? You want to get down? Whee! Now what? Now what? Yeah. You are not going to get your hands on that. There, yeah, play with that. Yeah. Anyway, tools. So they're like, oh my God, thank you so much for saving her. And he pulls one of the pendants off of the guys who attacked her. Yes, thank you. She is adorable. And believe me, she's also a sneaky one too. So we then get to the boys are standing outside of her house after the police come in to investigate. And he talks to Christine, Arnold Schwarzenegger does, and he's like, I've seen a lot of crazy things, but I've never seen an attacker perform the last rites before. And she's like, so you think there's a connection between religion and the attack on me? He's like, well, I think so, basically. And so before he leaves, he takes one of the books from their shelves. And he's looking at the book, and then he looks at the pendant, and he notices the same thing outside. And while they're hanging out outside watching the place, you see the stepmother, and she's like, they're right outside. And you hear the doctor's like, you must bring her here. No, they'll find me and find the temple. Well, then we see that the doctor reports to Satan. He's like, I could not convince her to come here. Well, Satan's not too pleased about that and ends up punching a hole through the doctor's head. And he's like, I guess I'll have to go get her myself. So while that happens, you then see Arnold Schwarzenegger head back in to talk to Christine, and she's carving up an apple, getting ready to eat it. And while Arnold's telling her who the people who have that pendant are, they're a sub-herald of the Vatican Knights, the Knights of the Holy See. And they're on Earth to stop Satan from acting on Earth. It's okay. Oh, calm down, little one. Anyway, as you see this, you also see the stepmother moving downstairs. It's okay. Okay. Calm down. You see the stepmother heading downstairs quietly. What? Okay, here. There. Yeah. She's also tired. She doesn't want to sleep. She's fighting it. You want me to show them how Uncle Dan calmed you down? Yeah. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, there's a happy face. Now, okay, there you go. That usually calms her down. But anyway. All right, calm down. Yes, I know. She's very adorable. Well, so do I have to play Fancy Like? Or do I have to play Valhalla Calling? Well, I could play both one of them on low volume. Hopefully, I won't get copywritten. So, folks, the Miracle of Sound and Walker Hayes, if any of you somehow come across this video, I'm simply doing this to calm my niece down because she loves both of your music. All right. Now, let's turn the media down. There. So let me stand this up. If you guys hear that, yeah, sorry about that. Let me turn that down. So she likes watching the videos as well. So, okay, quiet. So then she's like, what, those guys are devil worshippers? No, these are the ones to stop the devil worshippers. And so then she's like, what does this have to do with me? And then she sees maggots in the apple and that she just sliced. And then she sees figures crawling like very demonically, like begging to get out of hell, kind of. That's what you see. And so but also Arnold Schwarzenegger sees it too. And she's like, I'm sorry, I have a condition. I see things sometimes that aren't really there. And he's like, no, I just saw that too. So now she's slowly gathering. Maybe she's not so crazy. Oh my gosh. There we go. And she loves Peyton Parrish's version of Valhalla Calling. And so this kid has some weird taste in music. She loves country and metal. That. There we go. Oh, keep watching. Hold on. Let it go. And there you go. So then we get the devil is watching outside. He notices the police vehicle, and then he also notices the undercover vehicle. And then he starts to urinate in public of a very black and flammable liquid, where then he lights a cigarette and lights the place up and starts heading towards the place. And so that's when the stepmother decides to go all freaking freaky with the fingers, having sharp nails and weird strength, starts smacking around Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm like, holy crap, dude. So then Arnold Schwarzenegger puts her head through a glass table, and she has a bunch of glass stuck in her neck and other stuff. It's very gory, but I love it. It was done very well. And so they go to escape, but they see Gabriel Byrne, Satan, walking up the stairs. And so they head up the stairs, and he walks right through the fire, and he's like, Christine. And she recognizes the voice and whatnot. He's like, you know I am here. I'm here for you. Well, then they get out into the alley outside, and he goes up to the stepmother, who is obviously in a lot of pain. You had one job, to keep her safe, and you couldn't even do that. And he twists the glass in her neck until she dies, just to show you how ruthless he can be. So then he's out, or Jericho gets out there, and Marge and another cop are out there, and they start shooting at Jericho, and he's like, what the hell? And he's like, it's okay, Jer, we just want the girl. And so he tosses out the gun. He's like, what is this about? And he's like, I don't know. Oh my gosh, kid. Let me see this. Yes, I know. You want to hear it again, don't you? There. And so he tosses his gun out. He's like, oops. God damn it. So, she starts, or they're like, or he tosses the gun out and he's asked him, what do you want her for? Just a girl, you can kill him. And then he pulls his 2 guns that he always hides in his wrists out and guns them down. And he escapes with Christine. Well, then Satan comes out and he's like, you, I don't need, pointing to the dead cop, but you. He talks to CCH Pounder's character. He's like, or to Marge. He's like, or contact your people and find them. So you then see her rising up with a very demonic sound, like that kind of sound. They really sell the evil sounds in this movie. And it really is done well. That is one of the things that this movie does very well is sound effects and the evil sounds of demonic and satanic stuff to basically sell to you that there is evil in this movie. So, seeking help from the church, and the priest is like, you don't need that here. You're not among enemies. And he's like, oh, I don't know about that. Or this girl was just attacked by your people, my people. And he's like, your Vatican Knights just tried to kill her. Vatican Knights? Oh my God, they think they're doing God's will, but they're not. And so, upon learning the truth, and Christine realizes who she is, when they take him down into that same room where they saw the old lady who is now healed, it's like her hands are healed. That's the power of faith. And they're like, who is she? She's just a Polish peasant who a few weeks ago rose from a catatonic state, started speaking a language she couldn't have known, and she then made a prophecy about end of days. And they're like, what's the end of days? The unholies reign upon the earth. And there you go. Hold on. There you go. She loves that song. And so they then start discussing, they're like, does any of this look familiar to you about the end of days? And they say, or she shows a mark on her arm. And he's like, she's been chosen. It's in her, or he's in her blood. And they're like, or the Catholic Church has been looking for you since the day you were born. And she's like, well, why me? A man was chosen as well for this event to bear her child in the unholy hour between 11 and midnight on New Year's. No ads. And so, don't be clicking that, god dang it. Hold on. Inappropriate. There we go. Keep watching. There you go. And so we then get them discussing about whether or not it's Easter time, and they go over the revelation of St. John and the number of the beast. Hold on one second, folks. Where are you going? Anyway, folks. Now she's got another ad up. Well, stop playing with certain stuff, kid. And so the factual error. I'm sorry, folks, if I get brain farted. I'm trying to keep her from screaming, you know. All right. Come on, kid. There we go. He went upstairs, I'm guessing.
Yeah, I put on the show and he's being a pain in the ass. I'm going
So yeah. The factual error. I'm sorry, folks. I keep on getting distracted. Continuity error of Revelation of St. John. Back when St. John had this revelation, they didn't have the normal numbers. So 666 is not inverted and becomes 999. He would have seen them as Roman numerals. So he would have seen DCLV or DCLXVI. That's how he would have seen it. And you are screwing around again. There. So we then get to that small little, or there's also a continuity error mixed in with that where you see that the numbers are written differently in one part and then the next cut back to it, they're written in another. And she wants to get down again. So music goes off. Or do you want to get up on this one? Oh, wow. Okay. Behave, Chloe, or Zoe. So then they are, because Arnold does not believe in all of this, he tries to escape, or he leaves her there, and well, then he can, or the devil confronts him at his home. You stop that. All right, fancy like then. Go play, Ryan. Well, then go play in there. Watch a film. And yes, sorry again, Walker Hayes. If you hear this, please don't copy strike my channel because I'm just trying to keep my niece. Yes. Anyway, turn this. Please don't copy strike my channel. Anyway, it's to keep my niece entertained, and she loves this song. So Lucifer tries to bargain with Jericho, and he shows him the last moments of his family, and where they're getting ready to celebrate Christmas, and the Christmas tree's up. Their daughter and mother are talking, and she's like, I have the best daddy in the world, but I don't think he'll be home. Why not? Because he's never home. Well, you know that he has some very serious work. And so then you see the mafia come in, and you see Arnold Schwarzenegger try to shoot them and then jump onto one, and he ends up crashing into the tree. But then in the very next scene, that tree is up again. So it's like that could just be because of the vision, but you still saw the tree interact with him. So yeah, that just goes to show you that it was a clerical or a continuity error. So then when the devil tries to bargain with him, he's like, God took away your family, I can give them back. And we get the great line with, he's like, tell me what you want. I'll tell you what I want. I want you to go to hell. Well, you see, the problem is sometimes hell comes to you. You want the controller back? But anyway, and before that, Gabriel Byrne plays the devil very well. I got to say that. Gabriel Byrne plays the devil extremely well, where he basically has the greatest biased arguments ever. He's like, let me tell you a little something about him. He is the greatest underachiever of all time. He just had a good publicist. That's all. Sorry, I'm late. Blame Lethal. Yeah, I saw that Lethal went. I saw that Gabriel or Lethal went live before me. But you know what? This is the only time that I can really carve out because of the freaking all the different schedule changes and such. So if I cross streams with Lethal, that's just, I just got to live with it. And yes, Gabriel Byrne is seriously underrated. And he's like, now you take that overblown press kit they call the Bible, and they say, hey, or look for the answer in there. What do they say? Shit happens. If something good happens, it's his will. If something bad happens, he moves in mysterious ways. He treated you like dirt and you walked away. He's the one who took away your family. So tell me, what do you want? And I can give it to you. What about the end of days? Think of it as a new beginning, a change in management, and you'll be there on the ground floor. It'll be so cool, and you'll have your family back and yada yada. End of days, yes. And if I was at my PC, I'd have you both on. Yeah, thank you, Matt Along. I appreciate that. Deej, good to see you. And so after he tells the devil to go to hell, he's like, sometimes hell comes to you, and he smacks him out the window. He's like, I spent too long on this. So, or you see those little insignificant specks down there? You see them, huh? That's what you mean to me. Now give me the girl. Not today. So he throws him out the window, and you see Arnold's hand stuck on glass, and the devil crunches his hand into the glass, cutting it up. And he's like, look down. Now look into your heart and tell me you don't want to die. All you have to do is take my hand, and this is all over. And give me the girl. And so he's like, okay. And so he reaches down, and devil reaches down. He reaches up. He's like, fuck, yo! Throws him out the window. And you see Gabriel Byrne just hands out like, this isn't even gonna hurt. And he smacks down into a police or into a car. And so then the door, he wraps his hand and he gets a knock on the door. Well, suddenly Bobby's back. He's like, I thought you were dead. A couple of seconds and I would have been. I remember getting out of the car, and then I remember waking up in the fucking gutter. And he's like, what's going on here? I've been looking all over for you. He's like, so he lets him in. He's like, I can't trust you. What do you mean you can't trust me? What's going on? He's like, you took his body. Okay, you're ill. You need professional help. So he shoots him in the arm just to scratch him. And he's like, you're bleeding. He's like, of course I'm bleeding. You fucking shot me. Well, it's just a scratch. I'll stop being stop being such a pussy. He's like, oh, come on. He's like, does it hurt? Well, what do you think? And, did you fall asleep? No, she is going to fall asleep soon. But anyway, he ends up believing that Bobby is back. He's like, well, I shouldn't have left her like that. I got to go get her and protect her and whatnot. He's like, tell me what to do. You get a strike, or we get a striker car, and I'll meet you downstairs in 10 minutes. Here. Oops, wrong one. There we go. Hold on. Yes. Looping the video. There you go. Oh, she loves you, Walker. If you ever see this. She really does. I mean, she kisses the screen whenever she sees you on it. But yes. So he tells him St. John's Church, 1 hour. So Christine is there talking with the good morning, Deej. If I hadn't said that already. And so, will you stop smacking that? And, well, let it go. And there you go. Oh, hold on. There you go. And so, there. And there we go. And so then the Vatican comes in, and she recognizes them, and they overpower the clergy. And they're about to stab her, and then Arnold Schwarzenegger shoots the blade with a nice, wicked smile on his face. And then the cardinal tries to stab it again, or bishop, or whoever it is. And he's like, I could do that. Or he shoots him in the hand. I could do this all day, now let her go. And he's like, you must let us finish. And he's like, or if we kill her now, we take away his chances of success in creating hell on earth. For 1,000 years, we've prepared ourselves for this. We're not afraid to die. Good, because I'm not afraid to kill you. And I love how he's like, because I'm not afraid to kill you. Let her go. So they let her go, and then the place starts shaking. And you hear that vocalization signaling the devil is around. And then you see the candles just start wickedly burning. And you see the priest knows what this signifies. He's like, get her out of here. Go, quick. Well, they start to go towards the front, but they see the devil start walking in from the side. And then they're like, go out the back. And they hide, and the doors just open up, and you see Gabriel Byrne just look up. And he's like, I've come for my wife. This is the house of the Lord our God, and you are not welcome here. I could stand a little pain, or I could stand the pain of being in church. How much pain can you bear? This whole scene of how dark this scene is. You see another priest go up with a crucifix, and he's like, in the name of God, I command you to leave here now. Well, takes the crucifix and pops dude right here on the head, stabbing him in the head. And then he smacks the bald priest that we know from earlier in the movie when he starts saying, may the wrath of God destroy you, but he gets cut off. And he walks up to the one that tried to kill her earlier in the movie and just gives a wicked smile. And hold on. What'd you do? There you go. Now. There. Oh, come on. There we go. And so you hear screaming as they get out, and they're in an alley, and people are attacking them in the alley. And Kevin Pollak gets there. Oh, my God, kid. Yeah, you enjoying this, aren't you? The joys of being an uncle. Yeah, she had already said. Good morning. Thank you. And so I'm going to make it so you can't freaking drop it. There. And so you hear the screams, and then you see him snap the cardinal's head clean 180. He's like, for 1,000 years you have awaited my return, and behold, you have failed, and with your dying breath you shall bear witness to the end of days. Then he snaps the dude's neck. No. There. And so, nope. And so, well, you got to deal with it. If you can't hold it, then you can just watch it. She learns, believe me. She's capable of learning this, folks. There. There. And then we figure out that Bobby has betrayed him, and Jericho gets beaten and crucified. So the next day, we see him pulled off the cross, stitched up by the church, and then he goes to Stryker HQ, and the church is also, or the Vatican is aware of is being showed to be reported to, and the older cardinal at the time now, he's much older, he's like, it is in our darkest hour that we must have faith. Well, at this time at the Vatican, it would be New Year's for them. So, yeah. So then we see him going to Stryker HQ, and he's like, what'd you do, get hit by a bus? No, the bus missed me. And relevant. And so then we see him, he's like, he just loads up with the same weapons, 2 hands or 2 Glocks in the wrists, or a Glock in each wrist, or 5.56 carbine with a grenade launcher, 40 millimeter grenade launcher, which will have a nice little thing here. Also, I do want to, or a lot of people actually, I did have a theory that I wanted to float here. Now, they're saying that he comes at or the devil is supposed to come out back in 1999 because of the eve of the millennium and 666 being inverted and all that stuff. Well, here's the thing. If Jesus died at like 33, so 33 or 34 AD or whatever, and the devil was there to drag him to hell, if I remember my scripture correctly, that would mean that the devil was able to get out of hell, kidnap Jesus, and then get back into his prison. And then 1,000 years later, or then 900 some odd years later, he was able to escape. So if the whole end of days thing is probable, that would mean that he would be released from his prison in around 2033 or 2032 to 2034, somewhere around those years, because he was there to drag Jesus to hell personally so that Jesus could rise and resurrect. I'm sorry, but if that's how they're playing it, then guess what? That's how the year or end of days would, or the prophecy of end of days would take place in the 2030s, not in 1999. It makes you wonder. So I needed to float that out there before we get into the climax of the film and stuff. So we then see him. He's like, the police are looking for you. Yeah, well, they'll have to wait. I have something to do first. Listen, there you go. Watch the show. And watch the video. Yeah. All right? Yeah. Oh, I think I know what you want. Here. Hold on 1 second, folks. I need to just get her a small snack, which is actually, we'll do that right here because the snacks are right here. Yeah, you like your little rusks, don't you? Oh, yeah. Look how she's reacting. She's like, ooh. Yeah, there you go. And so he then goes to the temple because he tracked the license plate number to the vehicle. And he then has a blind guard. You wish entrance? Yes. And so he sniffs him, or so the blind guard sniffs him. You have a great deal of hatred and vengeance in your heart. You might pass. And so he freaking goes into the lower sanctum, stops them or Marge sees him, and then so he kills Marge, and then he pulls a gun on Christine. He's like, everybody back or I kill the girl. And she's like, what are you doing? Trust me. And so then the devil forces Bobby to go in and do a standoff with him. He's like, you'll never get it shot off, and you know it. So then they have a standoff, don't do it, and Bobby comes back to conscience, or his conscience takes over, and he realizes it's wrong. He's like, but before that, he's like, you'd be surprised to what you'll agree with or what you'll agree to when you're on fire. So when he goes back on his word, the devil just grabs his arm, lights him back up, and he dies. Or he runs around. You can clearly see it's a guy in a suit designed to look like him and a mask and whatnot. And so you see him burn, and he shoots the devil up a little bit, and they run into the subway, and we get onto the train. Now, there are a couple of continuity errors and whatnot, but the biggest one of that scene is the specifics of the weapon. The 40 millimeter 203 grenade launcher has a 40 millimeter round that doesn't arm until it hits 15 to 25 meters. That is when it arms the explosive after it is fired. However, when Satan jumps at Jericho between two trains when they separated the cars, he's only 8 to 10 meters away from him, not even. He's like 10 feet from him, and that's when he gets blasted by it and blasted back into the other train. But it still explodes. And it's like, wouldn't have happened. You would have fired it, it would have bounced off and never armed. So you then see after the aftermath of the train crash and they're running around or they're trying to get out of the subway, you see the upper torso of Satan's human vessel, and he tells him, Jericho, how can you expect to stop me when you are but a man and I am forever? And then you see Satan just leave his body and that body's screwed basically. But we are in like the final minutes between New Year's, folks. like the last 10 minutes or 5 minutes in this situation. And so they get to a church, and he ends up firing the weapon to scare everybody out of the church to get to a safe place because he knows what's coming. And he's like, I want you to hide right now. Don't argue with me. Just run and hide. And then he loads up his weapon again, puts another round or grenade round in it. And then he realizes, maybe I can't stop him with this. And he sees all of the biblical iconography all over the church. And he then finally opens up his heart and he starts praying. He's like, God, please help me. Lend me strength. Well, after a couple seconds, the place starts shaking. Now, I love how they have the dynamic between the other church and this church. In the other church, he had his vessel, Satan was contained in a human vessel. So it only shook the place up and ignited the candles. Well, without without a vessel, when it is Satan himself, his demonic form, it shakes the hell out of that church to the point where the foundation is starting to shatter. You little shit. Anyway, yes, I called her a little shit. We do that in our family. We play around and whatnot. It's jest. But anyway, you then see the pews all just shatter or domino effect up to him. You see the roof start to shatter and crack. You see all the windows shatter and light just fling through. Now, the last window to shatter, you actually see the small chemical flame push through to shatter the glass. And then Satan just comes up through the floor. And you see Arnold reacting to a digital Satan, because obviously it was very digital. But they also did have a puppet. So then you see him open up his wings, and you see the look of Satan swipe at him with his, swipe at Arnold with his tentacles, which looks very bad. And then you see him jump into Jericho and try to possess him. And then you know that Jericho is now possessed, and he tries in the last minute, in the last 30 seconds, to take Christine. He convinces Christine Kinner, and he brings her up to the altar, and he looks up at Jesus, who was crucified. You died for nothing. You just bought them time. And I'm thinking to myself, you got 30 seconds to seal the deal, dude. And here's the thing. Unless you're a two-pump chump, you ain't going to be a two-pump champ. I hate to break it to you. So in the last seconds, also, Arnold Schwarzenegger manages to fight it off enough to tell Christine to run. And she runs, and he turns around and sees one of the fallen statues of an archangel with a sword. Well, he jumps on the sword, and at the last second, the hellfire of Satan leaves his body, and you see Satan's face in the fire as it comes back toward him, screeching and roaring at him as he's dragged back down to hell. So then you also hear very faintly a little girl say, "Daddy," and then you see the ghost of his wife and daughter. Well, looks like she's finally asleep. And you see how they're smiling at him, and you also see Christine see this. She also sees it. And then he dies because, well, he just jumped on a sword. And she takes his hand and saying, thank you. She just had her life saved. So then we get to the scoring, and we roll credits and whatnot. Now, the scoring for End of Days, I'm sorry if this was choppy, folks, because, well, I do have my niece here. I had my nephew here earlier and such. So, yes, the scoring for End of Days, objectively, this film is around a 7. It isn't that good. It's okay. It's passable. But, I mean, there's a lot of CGI problems, continuity errors, logistical problems, factual errors, but they all were done to suit the entertainment purposes. And believe me, when I read a report that the Vatican absolutely hated this film, I can understand why. Now, they usually hate any religious film that does not paint them in a very positive light. So then we get to subjective, and I give it about a 9 out of 10 because honestly, I really do like Schwarzenegger films for the most part. This was one of his better ones because it really goes into a dark place, and so does he. And you really see him as a human going into a dark mindset, and how religion just happens to be a part of it. Moviegoer, if you like horror, action, thriller, mystery movies, this movie is for you. I would give it a 10 out of 10 because it really does keep you entertained. It's really scary in some areas. It's really vile and disgusting in other areas. And, well, for some people who like the sex scenes and the nudity, you got a couple of that too. So, yes. As for next week's movies, let me go to my Voodoo library to see if I could find a movie that I can give you a couple hints on to see if you guys can guess, because you know what? I feel like I'm going to just be nice about this. But yes, I wanted to do End of Days closer to New Year's because it takes place to a countdown to New Year's. And I felt it was appropriate to do it in that time. So let's see here. What are a couple of movies? I got 402 movies in my dang. Oh, that's okay. Did you bite your thumb again? So what would be a good movie? Okay, I know which one I'm going to do. The hints for the next film. Animatronics. It was an odd movie to see Arnold in, but it's a quality movie. Indeed. Now, the hints for the next movie. Animatronics and Renaissance. Those are your two hints. If you know the film, do not spoil it in the comment section. And I will give out the hints on Twitter, but do not spoil it, please. But yes, animatronics and Renaissance. Those are your two hints. I hope, or I want to thank everybody. I'm still trying to get to 2,000 hours and 800 subs. If you guys could help do that before New Year's, that is my end of year goal. I'm like 5 subs away from 800, and I'm like 12 hours away from New Year's. So if you could play through my playlists, just binge watch them, put them on play, watch the stuff, interact with the videos, like hit the like button, maybe write a comment or something to help the algorithm get my videos out there so more people can subscribe and stuff. That would be great. I appreciate all of the support that you have all shown me this year. I am so close to my goal, folks. Please help me out. We smaller channels have to stick together, you know? Anyway, the next mystery review will be, I believe, next week, Tuesday night, most likely. So, yep. Thank you all for tuning in. You all know the drill. Like, comment, subscribe, share, all that jazz. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below of what you thought of End of Days. And always remember, folks, stay humble.